How did you deal with growing up with Ben? Obviously, you're like literally identical twins. So how do you deal with potentially having that comparison to each other growing up, and then at one stage having a bit of separation? Your careers have separated somewhat, and having that sense of I've now forging my own path, not alongside him, and doing my own thing.
Uh, to be fair, it's a lot easier to answer now because I think we're sort of past that, or we understand it more. Sorry, I think it was pretty tough early on. We always knew we were slightly different in the way we played, and I think that was important. Kind of, we weren't always. We were quickly. I think the main thing is we were quickly separated in the way people thought about us and in the way we played. Like, he was better on the ball, better at kind of passing, that sort of stuff. I was better at basically hitting things. So we actually worked together. We worked together really well. And I think that's the bit I think that is the best bit, and we are very lucky in that regard. Like, we can play 6 and 7, and we weren't both pigeonholed as 7. We weren't both pigeonholed as 6. And that's credit to Sale and how they developed us. Like, we were able to kind of just develop ourselves and be ourselves rather than we weren't compared to each other. But I think Ben would be a better person to answer the question of what it was like when we were kind of going our own separate ways, because I went to England for a bit and he stayed at Sale. And it was obviously tough. And I think, but the sign of the person he is the fact that he was able to recognise it. It was obviously tough. You know, there were times he wouldn't come to Twickenham because he'd be sat in the crowd and people would be like, "Why aren't you getting ready to play?" And he'd be like, "Are you done?" Like, I think it was a semi-final. No, it was before the final. He flew out in Japan, and obviously he was with my mates in the bar in Japan somewhere, just having a few drinks the night before, and someone came up to it. It was kind of like, "Why are you not getting ready for the final? Why are you here?" And I think small stuff like that can make a huge difference. But he's dealt with it very well.
Are those like joke? Is that people joking, or is that
No,
actually
people are genuinely
consciously taking the mic?
Yeah, no, they generally don't know because
Right.
to me and Ben, like, we're identical twins. Like, that's us. And
Yeah.
you wouldn't expect. What's obviously naive of us is that you wouldn't expect people to not know that we're identical twins, like, because we've always known it. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like when Scott says that, you do think they're taking the piss, but people generally don't know sometimes. So yeah, back to the thing. I think he got probably a bit more of a raw deal from it, but I think ultimately as a person and as a player, you do benefit from it long term. But I think the maturity and the time of the person you are is how you give up the stuff in the short term, or how you handle your emotions. Sorry, in the short term.
Yeah. Wow. Was there that sort of path change for you? Was it? How did you deal with it in the sense of you're now going from we? I've heard you talk about you would always describe we and it's you and Ben, and then you realise that it's now got to be me. And was there like a sense of, I don't know, guilt where you feel like I'm going off and doing this now for myself?
Yeah, a bit. Especially kind of when you're leaving with your bags and stuff. It was a bit weird, especially early on. But yeah, ultimately you have to do what you have to do. I think for him, obviously the journey was harder, but for me, you have to grow up and learn. You are your own person and you're on your own journey. Kind of, the analysis, as I was talking about Dan Bray before, the analysis where we go from me and Ben and him next to a laptop watching kind of clips of both of us to going from just me watching clips about myself. I think just small stuff like that, which don't seem like a big deal, but like small stuff you have to adapt to. I think was very important.
Yeah, and I guess there's so many people that listen right now that they're constantly comparing themselves to other people anyway. They're constantly comparing themselves to whether it's a teammate, it doesn't necessarily got to be a sibling. I think you've definitely got one of the sort of the closest bonds in the sense of that experience for comparison to someone else. It's the closest I know of, but everyone else out there will be trying to I think the goal really to get the best out of yourself is to really just look at your own path, to really look at what you are doing and getting the best out of yourself. And it is credit to someone like Ben to say that as you have gone off on your own path, he hasn't lost sight of his. He's still playing, like he's still a leading professional. And the other option would have been resentment, bitterness, and that could have just completely had a negative impact on his performance and play, and you might not be playing. And there's these different sliding door moments that might happen. But yeah, you're right, it is credit. And I think for people out there, that the ability to stay strong on your own path and your own vision and what are my goals set and how am I going to achieve what I need, it sounds selfish, but it's kind of what's needed.
Yeah, without a doubt. I think even to go further than that is to kind of, it's not just to find your own path, but to find the happiness within it in terms of, and I don't mean happiness as in, oh, everything has to be smiley and you have to love every moment, because you don't. Like some moments you hate it, but find genuine happiness where you're content with just worrying about yourself. Like I know, especially in team sports, you talk about selection a lot, and you can, find unhappiness with selection and kind of resentment for someone in your position who's been selected. But I think if you're genuinely content and genuinely, and this is the difference between happy and like genuinely happy. If you're genuinely happy about kind of being there and being in the process and your journey, then you won't see kind of someone else's success or someone else's demise as a change to you. Like that, the external environment won't change kind of your internal environment. I think that's really important.
Yeah, that's so true. Hello, you legend. If you've enjoyed this video, then you might enjoy this video right here, which is the full unedited episode. Go on, head up to it. Up there. Go. Also, don't forget to subscribe to this channel so you don't miss out on any new videos. I'll see you soon.